The scam. What is the reason for her difficulty in choosing a lesson? A month and a half ago, my wife of 4 years, now married for 6, told me, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." She disclosed that she had a partner she was in love with after 2 months of dating, but she hasn't brought up on. She claimed that it had been roughly a year and a half since she had fallen in love. It was unbelievable to me. She needed some alone time so I could gather my thoughts. Acquired a personal flat. But everything has been like hell ever since. We text maybe twice or 4 times a day, generally about insignificant things. I've only seen her 4 times and am not permitted to call. I allowed her to start all conversations. I never text someone first. She still dates the but every now and then she texts to say how much she misses me. I'm not sure exactly in what sense she still loves me, but she swears she does now. She is still reserved but somewhat loving when we are together, even after our kiss. She will listen to me vent to some level, but she won't discuss the reasons behind our breakup other than the one time she said I wasn't paying attention. She added that she had experienced a lot recently, including the death of her father 1.5 years ago, which coincides with the precise period of time she claimed to have fallen out of love with me, and I can't help but believe there may be a connection. She has been debating this point moment by minute. She once informed me in the same text that I was the one for her and the was the second best. Nonetheless, she is thinking of getting married to him and relocating to a different city. She claims she was coming home for the night on her extremely late call from last night, and she asked not to question why. She texted after about 30 minutes, saying, "Never mind." She attempted to end her relationship with the but they plan to discuss it. Any suggestions for what to do? Their relationship seems to me to be addictive. The adrenaline of a new romance has blinded her to all the pain she's giving herself and me. I will never give up on this girl because I love her so much. I don't think divorce is a thing. Even when one partner is unfaithful, love, in my opinion, endures anything. I've also had sex with her and have witnessed the distinct expression in her eyes. The identical expression from our first romantic encounter. That indicates that she still loves me. I'm almost positive that my wife's affair is an exit affair, which means that rather than divorcing me, she is probably trying to get me to leave our marriage. I've heard the saying, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." And we're apart. Since I still love her, I'm apprehensive to break up with her. And B, I genuinely don't think divorce is a thing. I think it's unfortunate to end a marriage. With the exception of violence, I think all issues can be resolved. I'm hoping it's a see-if situation that returns to a personal matter. Once more, I believe she will just realize the marriage has failed if I back out in this instance. She admitted it to me, so I know she's cheating, but she still sees him. The fact that she hasn't filed for divorce after 2 months and that she acknowledged feeling something for me during that time is what keeps me going. I was missed, etc. If things had been different, I would have cut off communication long ago, but I'm not sure if this is a kill it and bring it back or leave it situation. Even though it's an exit affair, I understand that all affairs are drug-related and I think she'll regret it when she wakes up, especially because the other guy is a drug addict, as she herself admits. Just like me, both of us are underprivileged. She actually earns more than I do. Her health insurance is provided by my employer. However, I doubt that's what drives them. Both she and I have a history of avoiding confrontation. This was not caused by a significant blowout or anything else. It's probably just months' worth of unsolved problems. I consider leaving as rejecting a potential for personal development and a chance to accomplish it jointly. Naturally, if the marriage ends, I'll use what I've learned to the next partnership and continue to develop. But I also want to try to assist her in bettering herself. After a month, I returned home yesterday night to discover a letter stating her desire to dissolve our union, which came as a shock to me even though I expected it. I closed my eyes and swore to myself when I lay in bed that night. Similar to snoring, but I muttered garbage instead. I received a text message this morning stating that she believes she made a mistake. I received another one while I was at work, stating she was willing to break off communication and return home. And is it okay if I go get her and everything from his house right now? Naturally, I took off from work right away, picked her up, and drove her home. I was aware that she would be struggling and that she would want to return to him. I anticipated, at the very least, a difficult few days. After returning to work by train, I got a text letting me know that she had transferred all of her belongings back. She spent an hour at home. She has made multiple attempts to break up with him, and she claims that frequently, she gets a text message ready to send while keeping her finger hovering over the send button. She had never left him for so long as this. She will most likely move in 2 weeks from now. She expressed a desire to stay friends, but I informed her that Friday would be our final meeting until she broke off communication with the This could potentially mean that I won't see or talk to her ever again. One last chance I have to get her out of this cloud is to convince her that her profoundly religious and well-respected aunt is unaware of her affair. She intends to bring the home for Christmas, and some members of her family are already aware of this. Shall I, however, approach her aunt to give her some advice? Should I wait to file for divorce since I recently stopped communicating and it seems to have had an immediate impact? I do not want a divorce, and I do not want children. But this has been happening to me for the past 2 months, and there is no end in sight. She refuses to get a divorce from me. I understand it's a guilt issue, but she started to express genuine concern that she would not see me ever again. I contacted her when she got home from work today and went back to the telling her not to follow her feelings since they will only take her to and from the I also reminded her that she doesn't get to see me again for a few days. She answered, "That's up to you," which makes me think that she doesn't really think that I won't get in touch with her. That's the reason I'm considering delaying the for a little period of time. Enough time for her to truly experience life without me and for me to show her that I'm serious about ending our relationship. I've already set a firm date for the so delaying it could harm my credibility, which is another worry. Comments: the truth is that your wife finds the affair more simpler overall because of the fact that you're putting up with it. She is finding things far too simple thanks to you. She is aware. She just needs to contact you to say, "Pick me up," and you will drop whatever you're doing and hurry over to fetch her. She can then return to him since she misses the It's not real. You ought to look at what's known around here as the 180. You're not going to win this the way you're handling it. Opus answers. For one thing, I adore her, so I'd like to stay with her. Sufficient to save her from herself as well. 3 things. First, I support marriage. Second, I support second chances, but not third. I am also aware that she is not her usual self and is abusing drugs. I like to think of her as the inebriated girl at the party and myself as her companion, accompanying her home. Actually, I think that by remaining, I've developed a great deal of self-respect. I am aware of how strong my beliefs are now, and if we end up divorcing, I will know that I made every effort instead of heading directly to the courthouse on D-Day. Fortunately, the $600 in our bank account are our only resource. Perhaps I should go for the full $600. On our computer, I discovered a letter she wrote to her relatives informing them of the news. There are some factual errors, like the claims that I approved of the divorce and that she immediately began seeing her new partner. I've made the necessary corrections and will give her the updated letter tonight. I'll give her family a call in the morning, or we may mail it together now. She was going to tell them about the divorce and her new boyfriend within the next few days, so I'm just giving her a heads up so she can give them the whole story herself. Inform her that my goal is to preserve my good name with her family. I do not want them to believe that I am unloving of their daughter, and I want them to know how hard I tried, and I hope that before tomorrow, enough of the mist will clear for her to change her mind. Everyone is phoning my wife tomorrow to inform her that they have discovered the affair, which I recently revealed. Additionally, I've spoken with the parents and siblings. I want to ask anyone who has previously been exposed. How much time passed until your partner rejoined you in marriage? I am a great guy in recovery. I let it get to me too long. However, her closest friends and her supportive stepmother are the only people who are aware of it. They don't have close friends here and we live quite far away from our relatives, so they only learned about it when I told them. 5 days ago, she moved back home after declaring her breakup with him. Thus, I think there's still a chance. She also won't divorce me, even after I've warned her that if she chooses him, we won't communicate, and she persistently begs me to stay in her life. Unless she becomes my wife, I won't. Even if it fails, this experience has undoubtedly made me a stronger person. I've been exposed to the families of other men and WW for the past 2 days. I told her not to get in touch with me until she was finished with the other man, unless there was a money problem. Since then, WW has texted me 5 or 6 times. Anger comes first, followed by reason. Don't forget the cat's veterinary visit, etc. And I realized we really needed to talk about 2 hours ago. Coming back is not an option because of the extremely unfavorable terms under which you'll accept me back. Here are the conditions for your reference. 1. Cut off any communication with guys. 2. Attend a counseling session for marriage. 3. Please be understanding when I review emails and phone logs. 4. Accept to respond to inquiries on the affair. I promise not to pester you with inquiries regarding the affair. Instead, I will only inquire about it twice a week for 30 minutes at specific times. I will just inquire once a week after a month. I won't have to ask questions in the future. 5. Say a different prayer each night. 10. Church each Sunday. We spend 20 minutes on Sunday nights talking about our marriage. 6. Have little dates every Sunday after church and reserve Thursdays for date nights. 7. Together, let's launch our video company. Together, work on at least one artistic endeavor each month. I am open to negotiating on a few of these points now, but there's no arguing with number 1. Having previously ceased all communication with WW, may I ask whether we should get together to discuss these requirements? Are any of these things that I should be open to negotiating? Once more, the top spot remains. Which circumstances personally exempt you from keeping in touch with a misbehaving spouse? Remarks. First of all, you shouldn't leave the door open for WW to return whenever she decides she's finished with the other man, even though that may never happen. You must get in touch with her and inform her that, in order to avoid losing you permanently, she must stop talking to other men right away and sit down with you to discuss all that transpired. She'll do it if she truly wants to make this marriage work. If she does, you shouldn't believe all she says because, believe me, she won't tell you everything. After sitting down and having a conversation about it, if you really think that you want this marriage to work, then make every effort to keep an eye on her activities without telling her. There's a good probability that she may continue to communicate with other men while keeping you in the dark. She should also be aware that it will take some time for her to regain your trust. It's not worth it for you either if she doesn't think it's worth it for her. It should be her who makes every effort to keep their marriage afloat. Opus replies, I've just let her know that I still won't see her until she's finished with him and that she can email me with any questions or comments about my terms. The first 4 are non-negotiable. She claims that by delaying seeing her till after she has finished with and not making a comfortable place for people to return to, Opus wears you out. Nevertheless, I believe she fears the end of her cake-eating days. Quite a difficult day today. 3 months have passed since D-Day, and the wife informed me yesterday that she would be moving out with the on Thursday. She said this before anyone chastises me. I acknowledge that I didn't manage this situation well, made numerous errors and delayed traveling to North Carolina. Took too long for her family to find out. Many errors, but I wasn't prepared to emotionally distance myself that rapidly. Please don't point that out to me because I admit all of that. I'm hoping that she won't file for divorce. Definitely won't handle anything on her own. This is typical for a WW, I know. Although I understand this is a result of guilt, no woman has ever felt bad about divorcing someone she was never able to love. I should put an end to any hope I may have because I know she's going to depart. However, I wish I could keep it for a few more days. Aside from telling her to back off, I would also like to paper airplane the divorce papers to her as I leave. A few members of my affair support group recommended getting a divorce. It's a given that most people advise divorce. I'm going to advise her to file for divorce on her own before she departs, and if she is unable to do so, to remain. I doubt that will make a big difference. It appears that I have the option on Friday. She is furious because I won't be our pals. I told her that I was literally dying to see you with another man because it hurt so much. She had 30 pounds. I have PTSD and I am experiencing my first ever high blood pressure at just 30. It's selfish of me, she said. Yes, to be very honest, the person who was having an affair and leaving the marriage branded me ungrateful for not wanting to see her with the other guy. This is unquestionably the fog, and I hope I could get rid of it. In order for us to settle out property, I did consent to see her one last time. Additionally, I want to inquire once more about her refusal to file. Even though I know she is guilty, she has never responded to me on the matter. Moreover, there is a very small probability that my highly emotional wife may cry in the courtroom before filing. I will so be seeing my wife for the very last time tomorrow and will be living alone from now on. I don't have any close pals around because we moved across the nation last year. I have 3 kiddos that I may have to give away now that I'm short on cash. I've packed up all of our keepsakes and told her to take them. I don't want them. Give the rings to her. You're not sure what to do with them yet. Or we both maintain our own. Alternatively, I could sell both of them. Despite how that may sound, I have faith in my ability to recover. That, in all honesty, is what kept me going for 3 months. However, I'm not yet ready to improve. For 2 or 3 months, I would really like to hibernate and not have to go to work. They ought to give me several weeks of paid leave and handle issues like a maternity leave. When she leaves on Thursday, at least, the way forward will become somewhat more apparent. It's time to start focusing on me. Gaining a reliable job, etc., is not the finest retaliation a life well lived is. What really irritates me is that she claimed that one of the main reasons I didn't value our relationship was because I told her I couldn't possibly see her again because of the intense, incapacitating pain. This, my friends, is known as assigning blame. I'm to blame for her departure. She appreciates the relationship she's deliberately ruining, and I don't value the one I battled for 3 months to keep. How sensible. If she doesn't comply by Thursday, which we all know she won't, I will file for divorce from her on Friday. However, I'm not a conceited person. I can tell that I kicked her ass out without needing to brag about it. And I'd much rather make her go through the agony of completing what she started than have me handle the grunt work. Knowing how much she dislikes doing it, that seems like a lot more rewarding outcome to me. My wife's infidelity has consumed all of my thoughts for the past 3 months. The sole item. You folks are aware of what I mean. I've never given anything so much thought for so long. My head is spinning. It's said that doing what you enjoy is the best course of action. I mean, I write and I'm an artist. I cannot write or sketch about anything other than the terrible affair. I can't really go take a class or join a group to pick up new hobbies because I have to move shortly due to this situation. I too am broke as a result of the affair. Shows are out of the question because she had to move out and obtain her own house. I feel completely trapped, compelled to sit here and consider the situation. I wish she had 10 minutes to feel this pain. Maybe then she would regret it. The hardest part is that I'm stuck with the debris left by her reckless behavior while she has no regrets. Bad conduct. I realize that I have no control over her and that I cannot allow her actions to dominate me, but I am still relatively new to this living nightmare and am just now starting to let go of her. I noticed this the other day while packing up our belongings. It reads, "And the two shall become one," on our wedding candle. And maybe I'll feel better if I cut it in half. It was really difficult to keep my distance from her behavior and to stop thinking about the affair all the time. But every day, I'm putting one brick into that wall. My wife and I will not be in communication if she departs with the as I have made clear. She is really angry over this and objects, wanting to stay friends. We're splitting the items tonight, and she intends to relocate with him on Thursday. No children, no valuables. So this is the last time I'll see my wife till an emergency arises in the following few days. It should be friendly, not combative or overly sentimental. Even so, it will be difficult to resist going too far. I'm not searching for magical cures because I am aware that none exist. I'm just curious about some past accounts of folks handling similar circumstances. I made the error of attempting to court her a few weeks later, etc. In the short run, it worked. But in the end, it was a waste of time. It was already too late when I finally started to get firm after about 2 months. I'm now getting the papers ready, but I still don't hold myself responsible for anything. Everything stems back to her choice to cheat. Someone ought to create a wedding ban that, much to an electric dog collar, shocks adulterers when they cheat. It was all a big mistake if she was genuinely sorry, willing to ask for forgiveness, resolved to never speak to him again, and felt that despite her feelings for him, I would then be willing to give her back. I am aware of the wonderful person she used to be, and I hope she can bury this horrible double of hers and bring that person back to life. Yes, please let me be with that person once more. However, I'm done hoping for miracles. Today, my misbehaving spouse texted me to inform me that her stepmother is experiencing cardiac issues. Her stepmother and I had a close relationship. I thought of her as a friend rather than an in-law. I was struck to realize that I would never get to see her family again after reading that. How selfish is divorce. I'm sure she never considered how I'm losing her family, and it enraged me to think that he's replacing me at the family dinner table. All these people, whom I've come to love and accept as my own family, spent birthdays and holidays with, are gone. It aches to know that she wishes to distance herself from my parents, grandparents, sisters, and other family members. She simply doesn't value them very much. Poor insulting, indeed. Today was a difficult day. When someone says, "I did nothing today," they usually mean that they watch TV, browse the internet, read a book, etc. There are days, I discover, when I just can't bring myself to do any of those things. I tried to watch a movie, but I couldn't select which one to watch for nearly an hour. I've spent about 70% of the day just sitting here on this bed and petting my cat. Furthermore, I'm amazed at how confused I feel regarding time. I've slept for the past 6 hours. It's already midnight. I believe that shutting down is a mental defense strategy used when grief gets too much to handle. It was a really hectic morning. I therefore feel nothing tonight. Void. When you keep breaking down repeatedly, I suppose the new joyful is not feeling anything. There, I'm just partly kidding. I filed for divorce yesterday, despite my strong reluctance to do so, after a few days. I was cornered by force. She refuses to end the affair and submit a self-report. I told her she could file for it if she wanted it. However, in addition to all the nonsense she's done, I now have to perform the terrible duty of filing completely against my will. Even though I know this is only paperwork and she has already emotionally divorced me, it still hurts. It's terrible. It took me 5 trips to the courts before I could bring myself to do it. It's not possible to tell her in person because she now lives far away. How did you inform your spouses of your filing, guys? How did you say that? What was their response? 1 week later, my wife, who moved out with the states that she would like to return for a trial stay of 1 month, indicating that she is at home. However, stay in touch with she wants to check the waters to see if we can reclaim the relationship we previously shared. I would like to clarify that we have never had a third person in our marriage and we never will. Therefore, any such trial will not be a true reflection of our potential marriage or divorce. In reality, marriage is an experiment that you can end at any time. You know, there have been a lot of arbitrary deadlines throughout this entire process. She was to be taken out of her life for a month at first, then for an additional month, and finally on December 1st and February 1st. I'm moving on and haven't been waiting on them for months. She is welcome to follow me back if she so chooses. Spouses of other people consistently ignore these deadlines. All right, I'll make a decision by January. No, not on Valentine's Day. She is unaware that I filed for the next lunar eclipse, which still needs to be served. She adds that it would be a good idea to implement the trial basis since it would give the other person a month to adjust to the thought of living without her. Whoa, I wish you had shown me the same consideration when you moved out the same night after declaring you were having an affair. If she emerges from the cloud of regret and shows true repentance, I want her back. However, I don't think that is likely to occur. I've made it clear that I won't speak to her until she accepts the terms I've set and acknowledges that her relationship with was improper. I've also made it clear that talking to her won't end the divorce. That's obviously not what this new her wants. Nope, don't bother. Remarks. The previous iteration is long gone. That's something you have to acknowledge. She was with someone else whilst she was away. Both of you have evolved. You must begin your own healing process. That is the most efficient and best method for clearing fog. She hasn't had to make a decision since August. No, she does, but she is aware of her time. It's not right that you want her back. That's the issue. She ought to be crawling over to you, pleading for the opportunity to perform the difficult work, no, not even pleading, of addressing the problems on her end that led to the adultery, without even the slightest indication of your approval. According to the most recent information we have, the person in question did not get his wife back. However, he ought to quit positioning himself as a backup plan, as doing so will only make him fail in his next relationship. A mini story too. I really could appreciate some objective guidance. My wife of 11 years moved out 7 months ago, so we had been apart for a year. Though we have always loved and cared for one another, we have grown apart in recent years, and I feel a sense of separation, and occasionally sense that she wasn't content. I discovered last year that she had cheated on me 3 times in our marriage, once emotionally and once with 3 other guys. I tried to investigate if my assumptions were correct and did experience this occasionally, but I was never able to locate her. Sometimes I simply believed that I might be an insane, jealous person. It seems that I was correct. She admitted to me that over the years, she had loved one of the men on and off. These were not continuing affairs. More accurately, it was on and off for a few years. She had ended things by the time I found out, and she was attempting to mend our differences. I have always had a great deal of love and concern for her, therefore I believe her. She claims that she had affairs because of her, not because of me. She believed that we couldn't continue together and that I would never be able to forgive her, so we made the decision to split up. I pleaded with her to stay, which I have, but she departed. I made the decision to try and become friends with her in addition to helping her move and take care of other household chores. Soon after she left, I started dating someone, and that got me over my terrible breakup. However, my ex and I grew closer over time, and discovered that we were sharing a bed. I felt that my conflicted state of mind would only cause harm to the new woman, so I ended things with her. My wife is now begging me to do it again because she believes that we have found our way back to one another. She believes there must be underlying causes if we were truly unable to stay apart. I love and care about her a lot, so I kind of agree, but I was also beginning to move on. I believe that my beautiful new connection with this new woman was ruined by an ex who was having second thoughts. Don't get me wrong, I was also heavily involved in that. It was really difficult for me to resist wanting to see the ex. We are at the point where we need to make a definitive decision. She wants to know what I want to do, but I'm having trouble coming up with a plan. Although I didn't want her to go, she did, and I stayed friends with her. Perhaps too soon, I began to move on. And I kind of thought she should too. Perhaps things would be better for both of us, instead of feeling as though we're going through another devastating breakup. Naturally, this is a highly distilled account of what transpired. However, the truth is that we had a wonderful family, frequent bonding, and were always close friends. But she had been unfaithful to a few men on numerous occasions, and I discovered out as it was all coming to an end. And now here we are. Even though I forgive and love her, I simply cannot go through that again. I'm finding it quite difficult to let go of someone I've loved so deeply and for such a long time. Is there truly an opportunity to start over, or do you just pick yourself up and move on? I've always thought that marriage is about sticking together through good times and bad. I am aware that doing what appears right now is obvious. When you have loved someone for a long time, it can be difficult to consider letting them go. I think she truly does care about me as well. She's receiving assistance, and is prepared to do whatever it takes to make things work, but a lot has already occurred. There are moments when I believe it will benefit us both more. Time will tell if we go on with our lives apart. Certainly, I reconnected with her and made myself available. I tried to be a friend, helped her around her new place, and we reminisced about the old days. We talked about a lot of our problems, and the actions that she took. Although I also share some of the blame, I was devastated by what she actually did for years. My feedback: do you guys have any suggestions for Opus? Keep an eye out in your relationship.